Joined now by Alex Newman, our international correspondent. Alex, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks so much for having me, Duke. Great to be with you.
As always, you do stories that are just, they really have the pulse of the declining pulse, very slowing down pulse of the American Republic. This one's about California, where insurance companies are mandated now. They must pay to mutilate confused children. Talk about the story.
Yeah, it's another symptom of the ongoing decline of America and our civilization. It's tragic. And so the insurance commissioner there, a gentleman by the name of Richard Lara, I believe, has decreed, using a complete and total repudiation of the plain text of the statute, that all insurance companies now must pay to mutilate children who claim to be confused about their gender. So if a 15-year-old girl decides that she is actually a boy this week and demands that some surgeons or quack doctors remove her breasts through surgery and then reconstruct her chest as a male chest, then the insurance company will be and really the insurance company doesn't have any money. Really, everybody else who pays for insurance, which is now obligatory under the law, must pay for this mutilation of this child. That's how crazy it's gotten, and I suspect we're only seeing the beginning of this.
So if I understand this correctly, everybody in the state of California has to have insurance. This is medical insurance, health insurance?
Yes, health insurance.
All right, so they have to have, if they're not doing the wonderful Obamacare, they have to have some private insurance for health care.
That's right.
And
yep.
this is
it's the same national program where everybody under the law has to have insurance.
And so there is this insurance czar who has decided that means that every insured person, every insurance policy has to cover mutilation of underage kids. How young can these kids request this surgery?
I looked at the statement they released and the text of the order, and there was no age listed. So presumably this could even apply to very, very tiny children. And if you look at the text of the law that the insurance commissioner used to justify this, it really says almost the exact opposite of what he tried to torture it into saying. It says, if you need reconstructive surgery, like, you got in a car accident and your face was burned off as part of a big fire, then the insurance company is obliged to pay for that reconstructive surgery. They take off the unhealthy tissue and try to make you look as normal as possible. But what the insurance commissioner is saying now is that actually means that your organs, so to speak, are unhealthy tissue and need to be removed to reconstruct you. So it's the complete opposite interpretation of even what the loony California legislators intended when they wrote this law. And it's being twisted into saying that now insurance companies have to pay to mutilate children. We don't know the age, and I suspect they're going to go even further than this. Parents, of course, will not be involved. And they actually framed this as discrimination, that insurance companies are discriminating against children who want to have their bodies mutilated because, as the insurance commissioner put it, they can't be their true selves, is the word he used, their true selves, unless they go under the surgeon's scalpel.
Are any of the local policies, the local insurance companies protesting this? Sure, certainly there's got to be some place beyond this government lackey they can appeal to.
I don't know. I have not heard of any yet. And my guess is, in the current political atmosphere, even if they wanted to, they're probably all too terrified to do it, because then the fake media will portray them as being anti-transgender and anti-child, because, of course, that's the line that they're using now in California. And now there's, what are you going to appeal to? The courts? We know the courts are useless. It's a crazy situation, dude.
Well, what's really interesting is so many tie-ins to this, and we know now that Biden has won election, you have a majority now they own the Senate, the Democrats and the progressives, they own the House, and so there's very little stopping them now to change. I think Kamala Harris actually said this on the day after the election: get ready for California governance in the rest of the United States. The Biden administration is going to bring California-style government to the rest of the United States.
Yeah. So basically, third world banana republic style government that people are desperately trying to flee, right? California is one of the states that has lost the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time, along with the fellow lunatics in New York and Illinois. And so they're all running to Texas. They're all running to Florida. They're all running to Oklahoma. And of course, now we're going to do that nationwide. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All these other states that do it responsibly are not the model California is. After the break, let's come back and talk the broader implications of this. Back now with Alex Newman, our international correspondent. Alex, the fallout from what's going on in California, this story about how California is now mandating all health insurance providers that they have to supply gender-altering bodily mutilation surgery for anybody who wants it, including underage children, regardless of what parents want. I mean, and that's the thing I wanted to close with for this. Parents don't matter. If if you're the mom and dad and you have this insurance policy that you and the mom and dad are paying for, and a 12-year-old boy decides he wants to be a 12-year-old girl, he doesn't have to contact the parents. The parents who are paying the policy don't have the right to stop this. That in California, that 12-year-old's going to get it, and mom and dad are going to pay for it.
Yeah, and this is the trend that things have been moving toward. You and I talked about last year, actually. Documents that I pulled off of one of the California Department of Education's websites. I think it was the Orange County branch of the Department of Education. They had a gender support plan and an individual transition plan. And I took down these documents, I printed them out, and it is unbelievable, the stuff that they're doing in California now, Duke. They've got in these documents, these are given to children, and the children are supposed to fill them out. And so, how do you identify? Do your parents agree with your decision? If your parents don't agree, if your parents don't approve of this madness, then the school comes up with a program, with a plan to deceive the parents. So when the parents are at school, they'll call you by your normal name that your parents gave you. When your parents aren't there, they'll call you by the fraudulent name of whatever gender you've invented. They'll use whatever pronouns you demand. So they're doing this now behind parents' back, and it's not just limited to California. We had, of course, that famous case in Minnesota. This was even a couple years ago now, where they took an underage boy to go have his genitals surgically removed. The public school system did, against the wishes of the parents, right? In flagrant violation of the publicly expressed wishes of the parents. And now that's in a lawsuit, but of course that lawsuit's not going to help much. And we've seen in Ohio as well now, where parental rights of parents who don't agree with this madness are being targeted. If your child claims to identify as a beluga whale and you don't agree, then you can be targeted by the state. So that's the direction that this is all moving in. And so far it's been, at least the most extreme elements in terms of the government have been mostly confined to the liberal states. But now we're going to start seeing these policies come down at the federal level again. And one of the things that we reported at the Newman Report last year, Duke, was the state of Utah. I was in the state of Utah in March of 2020. I had meetings with a lot of their top officials involved in education and things. And what I found out from them was that there had been a 10,000% increase in the number of girls in 5 years, in the number of girls who were claiming to be transgender. 10,000% increase in 5 years in one of the most conservative states in the union. So they're brainwashing the kids, they're cutting the parents out and demonizing the parents, and now they are mutilating the children with your money. And this is just the start, Duke.
It is amazing how young females are so overly susceptible to this, even perhaps much more than men, the young boys. Girls fall for this hook, line, and sinker. You start from the idea that women, all this liberation stuff, all the feminism that's worked into the schools at the youngest ages, it's amazing how susceptible they are to this kind of propaganda. I mean, 1,000 different things you could say, and young kids, they're suggestible anyway. Here's the question I want to end the segment on, Alex. So now that we have a Biden administration, and largely unchecked by a Biden administration, a Supreme Court that has demonstrated in the past that it's not willing to stand up to constitutional issues. Certainly, as often as not, they've decided not to. What can parents do? What if Kamala Harris promises she's going to bring California governance to the other 49 states in the union? What can moms and dads who don't live in California or New York right now do, or Utah, like you said, do to try to protect the rights they do have?
Well, we've only been saying it for years. You've got to get your children out of the system. You've got to do it now. You've got to get involved. You've got to deprogram your children from this nonsense that they're learning in public schools. And look, Duke, I mean, we reported at the Newman Report a couple of years ago that their own studies from the University of California at Los Angeles found that 27% of children ages 12 to 17 were now gender nonconforming in California. That number has, without question, gone up quite significantly in those intervening 2 years. We're at the point, and these children are being permanently sterilized. You've got medical professionals saying this is child abuse, this is crazy, and yet now it's going to be institutionalized. Parents, if you have not yet seen the light, if you have not yet realized the urgency of protecting your children from this, I don't want to be the one to say I told you so next year. You got to do it now, because if not, there's a very real chance you will lose your children, just like these parents in California are losing them right now.